Welcome back. In the last episode, we learned that fear can be the bridge between the old you and the new you. Let's pick up where we left off. There's nothing wrong with the cookie dough. There's nothing wrong with the cookie dough. You took them out too early. So those who don't choose to cross the bridge. So let's just say, for example, that 2020 was a bridge. In 2019, we were made aware of a genetically engineered virus called coronavirus or COVID-19. Origins, Wuhan, China. Made its way into the United States, supposedly late 2019, made public to the world early 2020, February, I believe, and then first patient in Indiana, March 6, 2020. So let's just say that 2019, and I'm gonna stop my time clock here for just a second. And I'm going to turn my hourglass on the side. I hope you can see the sand in there. It's just about equal. Looks like about 50% on either side, which means I've been talking roughly about 30 minutes. And according to my timer, looks like I'm right about at 35 minutes. So there's roughly about an equal amount of sand on both sides. So if we look at one side, this is 2019. The neck in the middle, the passage in the middle, the bridge in the middle is 2020. And then the other side is 2021. Well, if I said that 2020 was a bridge, and I said that bridge is the equivalent of fear, as we pass through collectively as a whole, this was one of those situations that we all went whether we wanted to or not. This is a collective thing where we all passed through it at the same time. 2019, 2020 in the middle, 2021. If I flip this over to the other side, or if I turn it this way, you can't tell which side is 2019 versus 2021. It appears identical when I do it that way. And now that I've already, manipulated it, I'm not sure which side I had down and which side I had up. So when I go to set this back up right, I don't know if I have 25 minutes left or 35 minutes left because it looks so similar. But it's not, because I've changed it. But on the outside looking in, or looking with my physical eyes, if I only observe from my physical eyes, if somebody came in and said, Celeste, did you flip your hourglass upside down after you started the timer? Based on physical appearances, I'd have to say no. But if I'm the one who did it, I experienced it, I'd have to say yes. Because I did it. I know that I did it because I did it, right? So yes, I flipped it upside down, and now I don't know how much time I actually have left on the counter, which is okay because I'm going to end it, at an hour based on my timer anyway. So this is just for illustration, but I'm saying all that to say this. If you are like me, you probably feel like 2020 never happened. Now, you know that it did, but energetically, I feel like I'm right back in June of 2019. In fact, I've felt like that energetically since maybe mid-May, early May. Like, did 2020 really happen? Did I go back to work in nursing and healthcare? did I find myself entertaining the possibility of another relationship? Because in 2019, I wasn't. In June of 2019, I wasn't entertaining either of those options. Yet, they appear to have happened in 2020. And here I find myself in 2021, energetically, I don't feel as though those things happen. So, but because I had some experiences in 2020, I know that it did. Energetically, I feel like I've been reset. Now, why am I saying all this, and what does that have to do with the people who are left behind, or the remnant, the people who don't cross the bridge of fear from being lost to being found? Your time will come. Your time will come. The thing about this thing we call life and fear and love and all that is you will experience it, and you will at some point get that aha moment or that eureka moment. Or if you were like me at one of my transformative moments, I was like, I've been hoodwinked, led astray, run amok. What the baby? Oh yeah. Like someone had literally pulled the wool over my eyes. That, like, the veil had been pulled away though. Somebody pulled the wool over my eye, and then by the time somebody came to lift it, the wool had minimized to a veil. What I once saw dimly through the wool, once it thinned out, and I don't know about y'all, but if you've ever had like a wool coat and it starts to wear, like maybe because the moths have been eating on it or whatever, but the certain sections of the fiber, the wool, the fabric or the coat begins to wear thin, and it can become over time actually see through, almost like a net that they use to weave the wool through. The net appears somewhat like a veil. This is good, y'all. This is one of those, these are one of those unexpected pearls that pops in as a distracting thought. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I didn't tell you, I had COVID in 2020. I had the experience of that viral infection, which was more like an unveiling for me. So I don't look at it as a negative experience, because to be honest, it doesn't even feel like it ever happened. I'm just another version of me. I'm on the other side of fear. And not that I was fearful of contracting COVID. I wasn't. I work in healthcare, and I basically faced it head on. And so there was never a fear of contracting the virus. However, once I allowed the virus into my fortress, it threatened to take my life. It was definitely a battle through the bitter end. And when I say bitter, I mean bitter as in cold. But somehow deep in the recesses of my being, I feel like I can overcome extremely cold temperatures now. Like somehow that has created an adaptation in me. So I see that as an expansion or growth, because now perhaps I'm immune to frigid temperatures. I don't know. Only an experience will make me aware of that. So not that I'm looking to have that anytime soon. I appreciate cold weather and everything that it does for Mother Earth. I don't necessarily, yeah, that's an experience I would like to, I'm going to just say I already had it. You see that? How I just put out that I just created a bridge of fear. That's the other thing you have to be mindful about, how powerful this tongue is. This is what SheSHAKEsfear. This is what SheSHAKEsfear. Oh, another distracting thought, but this is informative. Did I actually tell you where I got the title for this podcast from? So A friend of mine had mentioned to me that they enjoyed my conversation. You know, so that's, I always enjoy, talking with you. You have interesting perspective on things. And so, anyway, this was a fairly newer friendship. And as the friendship evolved, the person one day said to me, Celeste, listening to you speak is like reading Shakespeare. And I thought, oh my God, that is like, in my mind, like the highest compliment as a novice writer, creative writer, and a lover of poetry and romanticized literature. To hear someone make that statement, I was flattered. Of course, ego was like all in it. Ego was like, oh my God, because I'm a communicator. I like to converse and not to just be running my mouth, but to have purposeful conversation. And so this was in my mind, as a goddess, as a queen, divine being, the highest form of flattery. Yes, compared to mere mortal man, but someone who has been considered a role model of greatness when it comes to writing and imagery and curiosity, inspired curiosity. And so I was flattered beyond belief. I'm like, oh my God, listening to me speak is like reading Shakespeare. And so as I contemplated that statement, that piece of flattery, I thought, well, wow, what a play on words. SheSHAKESfear. I shake fear on a regular basis. That which I am fearful of becomes that which I was fearful of, or that which I am no longer fearful. But it doesn't negate that something new will come along. Call it a challenge, call it an obstacle, call it a mountain, call it a whatever term comes to your mind when you think of that brick wall, or that locked door, or that missed opportunity that threatens to bring your journey to a halt or cause you to consider an alternate path. Recognize them for what they truly are. Some brick walls are there with reason. You're not ready. You're not ready. Go with the flow. Go with the flow. Go with the flow. So when you encounter a brick wall and you can't go around it, you can't go over it, you can't go under it, and you certainly can't go through it, per se. Depends on how strong you are. However, there is a way that you can get to the other side when you're ready. It's similar to how a caterpillar transforms. It liquefies itself in the chrysalis before it becomes a butterfly. So just, I don't know, imagine yourself liquefying yourself and just seeping through the membrane of the brick wall, the glue that holds the bricks together, what do they call that in masonry? I can't, the putty, I don't know, I can't think of the proper term for it, but you know what I'm talking about. The membrane, or even bricks can absorb liquid over a period of time. And so just imagine yourself liquefying yourself and moving through the brick that way. Anytime that happens, anytime you move through a bridge that way, when you get across through the other side, some of that is not going to make it over there. You see what I'm saying? Some of your molecules, like if you could, as I think about liquefying, it could also be becoming a mist or something, kind of like when on Star Trek they said, beam me up, Scotty, and you become all these multiple particles. Well, all these particles are probably not all the same size. And so just imagine if you are now particles or water, and water is molecules or particles. And so just imagine if this membrane had some porousness in it, and porousness just means holes, spaces, that, you know, it's not a solid membrane, sort of like a veil. Sort of like a veil. And so when your particles or your molecules are passing through that membrane, think of it, okay, I like the way these curtains are set up back here, because like if this is you now, and then this is a membrane or the brick wall, you liquefy yourself so that you can pass through this membrane and come to the other side. And it would be nice if I had a gray curtain on this side. But anyway, I got this gray chair. So let's just say that you're dark, like right here, and you pass through this membrane, which ironically happens to be white. It's actually not solid white. You can't see it, but there's all types of shades of colors throughout the fabric and the pattern. Browns and beiges and kind of blues and just a myriad of colors, right? So consider this like this membrane is like a prism. And so when this darkness passes through this prism and comes through the other side, it's a little bit lighter. When it passed through the veil, we call these shears in the middle. This is not really a shear. I mean, it could hang independent of itself, of the other, or it could be by itself. But we call, you know, in the world of design, we call these shears. When you have a darker panel and then something lighter in the middle, we call these shears, kind of like a veil of fabric thin, because if I spread it out, you could actually see through them. You can see some of the light coming through. But so anyway, this is like a prism. And so when you pass from one side to the other, you're not exactly the same as you were before you passed through to the other side. Do you follow me? I hope y'all follow me. I hope you do. One of the things that I am learning as I independently work on re-establishing a new neural pathway in my brain, a new pattern of thinking that is really going just with the flow of the nature inside of me, just going with my nature. You see what I'm saying? I'm taking my example from nature. That's why I got the greenery over here. And, you know, I appreciate the faux as well as the live. There's nothing wrong with faux. Faux appreciates the live. Faux is just attempting to do what the live is doing. And it's okay. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with faux. Faux is an extension of the live. Faux as in fake. So anyway, I digress. Another little pearl of wisdom for you. Count them. Count them. You know what? I might make that a contest. How many distracting pearls of wisdom pop up during this conversation? Tell me how many. Count them. I'm going to go back and count them myself after I watch the video for the first time. But anyway, as you pass through that membrane, you're not going to even physically appear to be the same. Now, your physical outer manifestation may not show up right away. And as far as you're concerned, you're only going to feel it on the inside. When you look in the mirror, you may not see a physical change either. But what I am telling you, that because some of the field spaces in the veil will block some of the molecules from passing through, that's the remnant that stays behind. That's the remnant that stays behind. And perhaps those remnants have to go through a few more experiences. You know, think of it as shaving off layers to an onion. Maybe the first time the onion tried to pass through, it simply had not peeled off enough layers of this physical experience. And so it couldn't get through the porous aspects of the membrane. And it's okay. As it has more experiences on this side, it will pass through the membrane and come forth brand new. I love this stuff because I can't make it up. It's a download. Even as I speak, this comes straight off the dome. No previous thought beyond the inspired thought. One of the things I love about the way my mind fields operate, you know, the one up here, the one right here, and the one in my gut. That trinity within, the way when they are on one accord, when my chakras are in full alignment, when my chakras are full in alignment, when my energy centers are in full alignment, the information that springs forth comes from here, here, and here. Comes from the upper region, the lower region, and the middle region. It's a unified delivery of information. This is all about sharing. This is all about sharing. And I have you, the whole world, as my stage. And all I'm doing is sharing. What I challenge you to do with this information is to process it based on where you are, based on what you currently know, and based on what you have currently experienced. And because of the affirmation that I put out earlier before, that this delivery of shared information will pass through a prism that we call the World Wide Web, our collective connectivity, and it will be dispersed like light on multiple frequencies and at different rates of vibration, so that no matter where you are when you receive this information, it will be specific to your level of comprehension. I decree that. I decree that, and I speak it into law, that the manifestation may be made known. First here, then in my upper and lower regions. And then again, we all will radiate that out throughout the universe. That is how we collectively expand and grow. That's how we do it collectively. As we all continue to connect with those of us who are rising up to a different operating system, to a different level of thinking, to a different level of doing, to a different level of being, not just existing, but being. Being is existing with awareness, an awareness of your power, an awareness of your authority, an awareness of your control of self. But other times we don't pass over together. And it's okay. None of us is better than the other. We are all equal, having our own journeys, our own experiencing life from our own perspectives. But as we do that, when we all get in the habit of sharing our journeys, it enables us to connect on a frequency unlike no other. It gives us an opportunity to work in harmony, not because everybody is working together on the same page, at the same rate, on the same frequencies, at the same level, and at the same rate of vibration, but because we all recognize the role that we play within this unified organism, and it must be that we're all operating on those different dynamics. It must be so. It is It is an intellectual design. It is perfect. It is perfect and without flaw. It is the womb. It is the matrix. It is the Ma. It is the all. It is the El. It is the source. It is the origin. It is the point of singularity. And it's okay. It is the dynamic, that perfectly crafted dynamic that allows us to have these experiences where we get to continue finding ourselves lost on one side of the bridge of fear, only to discover ourselves again on the other side of the bridge, not even recognizing it as something you once feared. Oh, that was just an obstacle, just something I had to overcome. And sometimes you won't even think of it as that. Well, I did the most common thing to do. We were lost. It was the two of us. We put our heads together and we found our way to the other side of the bridge. No big deal. We all do it. We all do it. It's no big deal. Well, to some of us, it is a big deal. Because we've become aware of the significance of that. Some of us just do those big deals by default. But it is only when you become aware that you get to choose which bridges of fear you choose to cross. Every bridge of fear is not for everybody. And so, having said that, if I choose a bridge down here or up there, and you choose a bridge over here or down there, are we going to see each other on the other side? Probably not. We've chosen different bridges at different levels, and that's okay. Think of it as, what is that one video game? It's a Mario, I think an original Mario game where his objective is to get to the top, but he's building the tower on the way to the top. Reminds me of the Tower of Babel. But anyway, this little Bob the Builder or whatever he is, he's building his stuff as he goes, and he's doing it all by himself. I call that a master builder. When you get to the point when you recognize that you are the one, oh, now this is the caveat. This is the big pearl at the end, y'all. I'm coming to a close. My counter looks like it's saying over 1 hour. I digress. See, you got more pearls than you should have, but I'm going to wrap this up with this final thought. Once you become aware that not only are you capable of crossing many bridges of fear, even after finding yourself lost over and over again, the way to discontinue that cycle, the way to break that cycle, the way to disconnect from that cycle is to recognize that you are also the bridge builder. That you are also the land creator. You recognize that some bridges don't need to be built. Perhaps you swim through that experience. Perhaps you choose to, are y'all following me? Because you can go over the bridge. When you become aware, you cannot even choose to build a bridge. You could swim through the water, walk through the valley, speak to the mountain and watch it move. Get out of your way. Speak to the brick wall. Speak to the membrane. Tell it to move. When you are able to do that, when you are able to not only follow a blueprint through its completion, or follow a template through its completion, or follow a workflow or a process through its completion where you move from the beginning to the end, recognize and know that there's always going to be another beginning after the end, and that's okay. That's what you want. That's how you expand. That's how you grow. That's how you build. But the master builder knows also that there is a time to build his building, and there is also a time to deconstruct that building, yet to create a better, more improved building beyond that. Whole different perspective, whole different level, and a whole different universe as far as we're concerned. Once you become a master builder, you build your castle wherever you choose. For in my Father's house there are many mansions, and if it were not so, I would have told you. What I am telling you is that once you discover who you are by overcoming fear, by having the curiosity of the unknown, by forging your own paths, by not waiting for someone else to create an avenue or an opportunity for you, for deciding to not wait for someone to come and save you, for deciding to be the one who creates your own path. No one No one else has authority over you. You have become a master builder of self. You have determined, you have discovered through experience, which is now wisdom, because it was first knowledge or thought or idea or in the ethers, and then it came down through inspired thought, and then you created a dynamic to have an experience to go through. You see, you discovered that, yes, I can cross over this situation. But how much more will I become if I go through the situation? I chose to go through 2020. And I went into the decisions that I made as a choice, a conscious choice, I might add, to have some experiences, to operate in leadership, to face the challenges of that, to have the virus that I, the germ warfare, so to speak, that I first remembered or first was triggered in my memory back when I was in nursing school in my microbiology class. Those wonderful little plants, those triggers that when you start drawing your own blueprint, when you become a master builder, when you discover how to shake fear, when you become the epitome of the author and the finisher of your faith, the master builder, the illustrious grand worshipful, the illustrious grand worshipful, the illustrious grand worshipful master, something like that, grandmaster, worshipful grand, the illustrious, I'm gonna say it, the illustrious worshipful grandmaster of whatever fraternity, organization, whatever the elite, whatever the highest is in each field. When you become the master builder, you now draw your own blueprint. And because you are the master builder and you want this experience to be exciting, you plant triggers. You plant things to remind you, like, just in case you find yourself going off the beaten path, because you designed your blueprint, you created, there's one right way to go. Or maybe, I don't know, if you excited like me, there might be 3 different ways you can go. There are no forks in the road anymore. When you're the master builder, you want your outcome to be grand on the other side. You want to experience abundance and prosperity on the other side. It has nothing to do with material wealth. Everything to do expansion of the consciousness, expansion of your soul, expansion of the collective. We working together, even if it looks like we're divided. We're all on the same team. Don't be fooled. Remove that veil of illusion. Oh, yeah, this is a good one. This is a good one. This is a good one. I hope everybody gets a chance to hear what the spirit is communicating to your spirit. We are on one accord. I already know it. If you follow me and you're with me this long, we're together. We're right here together on this thing. Ooh. And so, when you become the master builder, you draw your template for the next experience that you want to have on this thing called life, because this is exciting. This is fun. You no longer have to repeat the loop-de-loop, the cycles. I never was the child who enjoyed the merry-go-round. It made me freaking dizzy. It made me nauseous. It was like, what is so enjoyable about this? And all you're doing is seeing the same thing. Round. You're just seeing the same thing. Okay, you make it a little bit slower or it gets a little faster. It doesn't matter. It's still the same thing. I'm like, get me off of this crazy thing. My life, my way for sure. My life, my way. That's what I'm working.